What it do, everybody? It's your boy King Crowder back again with history you may not know and things that are not taught in detail for show. This is going to those living in the state of Texas. Right now, we're going to cover a period of Texas history that is never taught in the classroom, which should be taught because it goes into the period of ethnic cleansing. The story is known as Slocum, Texas, which was a freedom town that was thriving with black businesses, farmers, and other residents post-Reconstruction slavery. The massacre occurred July 1929 through the 30th of 1910 in Slocum, Texas, in Anderson County, near Palestine, Texas, and East Texas. There were officially, quote-unquote, 6 confirmed deaths. That's what the news reported, but many black publications around this time said it was over 150 black people who were gunned down and hunted down like animals by white people that were rioting and going against these black soldiers in this area. The white mob did their best to destroy anything that was black American businesses, homes, farms, and the black population in Slocum drastically declined, leaving the place poor and underserved until this day. Long before the Slocum massacre occurred, racial tensions in this part of Texas was all around. Black Americans lived there post-emancipation at the end of slavery, building their own communities, making themselves planters, farmers, cotton workers, and doing whatever they could to survive and build their own black family nationhood. Well, you got to understand, they were thriving because they were the halves of their citizenship. What do I mean by that? I mean that you must understand all the craftsmen, the skilled laborers, and the workers were the formerly enslaved citizens. So after they left these farms, they did everything on their own. They did not need many white citizens for nothing. And many of the white citizens had to rely on them for everything. Even though they were disenfranchised, even though they didn't get an equal shake, they literally pulled themselves up and did everything they could to build their community. You must understand, even though they were doing everything they could, over 350 lynchings, over 270 of them with black Americans were happening, even though they were trying themselves to build themselves. Many black Americans, social equity, they used group economics to build themselves by providing small plots of land. They worked the lands, they fed themselves, they knew how to fix, repair, and build everything they could, even though without any help. Most people don't know, when you break down the Slocum massacre, it happened over a promissory note. Mr. Holly, a black businessman, and Redford Alford, a disabled white farmer, Holly and them had a serious argument because the white worker was trying to cheat the black worker out of his wages. Remember, he worked the farm, he worked the land, he did what he could, but the white disabled man wanted to cheat him out of money that was properly owed. Secondly, a black farmhand and worker known as Abe Wilson sent to inform the road maintenance worker, the white farmer, Mr. Springer, that they got in step. And you must understand, that was a violation of white supremacy at the time. You could not speak out against them or do what they could. But once they spoke out against these hands, they could work for themselves. So they had no way to champion them besides trying to take their lives. They knew that the black farmhands could survive on themselves. They didn't need the white workers to work with them because in Slocum, they had their own community and thriving community they can work from. Another huge cause which sparked this white massacre, most people do not realize, is that when Jack Johnson beat the brakes of James J. Jefferson, a white boxer known as the fight of the century, most people do not realize that the shame that came over the white communities because he was being beat down is what caused ethnic cleansing to occur. Throughout this night, this is what contributed. You had the white labor dispute, you had the farmers disputing about improper wages, and Jack Johnson added fuel to the fire. Many white men around this area were so upset about what had happened, they felt like they kept taking losses. So as a precaution, whites hid their children and families in different states in there so they could hunt down black people. And the tragedy right here is when it began. White men around this area stocked up on guns, ammunition, drank alcohol, even judges and others were around this area. And what they did is when they went into the court system, made sure their hardware and everything was secured, and the violence began on July 29th. It was almost 7 to 8 white men confirmed looking for a black community inside of town. The tragedy occurred when these white men went through this county and began to shoot and kill people unabolishedly. Think about how we in current times we have these victims of mall shootings. This happened almost 100 years prior. But think about them going to a side of town, shooting people for no particular reason. They shot down, hunted down, and killed black Americans like they were animals. This crime in Slocum lasted for a total of 16 hours. They were saying there were mass casualties of 5, but black newspapers said there were almost hundreds of black people being hunted down into animals like they were sheep. Sheriff William Blackman said this: men were going about killing Negroes as fast as they could find them, so fast that they could not do any really cause. There was a hot-headed gun hunting down and killing them. The Negroes were down like sheep. As they were walking through the community, you could see all type of dead bodies. You could see crows and different things killing of black Americans around this time. All the white men that were armed in this area never faced a single crime. There was nothing they could do to literally charge these white men because they were just hunting down and white black people for no reason. The deputies and other law enforcement agencies knew that this was a complete assassination attempt. They completely murdered, killed, and harmed all of these black citizens trying to just establish a life for themselves. Governor ordered the Texas Rangers and the state militia to Anderson County to quell the unrest. But you must understand, black neighborhoods around this time were strictly empty. All of their property was stolen. All of the elderly couples were unrelated, and the Rangers confirmed white people were hunting them down. They were confirmed by the Texas State Rangers that this was a crime against humanity. You must understand this crime happened and no one was convicted. No one was sent to jail, and there has been no widespread outrage ever to happen around this crime. There were so many people that needed to get picked up and thrown in boxes and abandoned in the woods. The death toll was an undetermined number, and one half of Slocum's black population left and never returned. Black resident Jack Holly survived the massacre. He fled with his family and left in the massacre and never to return. You must understand that the relations of this attack never could be returned. There was no suspect ever arrested, no one ever brought forward, and no one ever listed as a crime. The suspects involved in this massacre were set to be arrested, were investigated, but none infected any crime, and the bail was set for a measly $1,500. You must say that oral historians, R.B. Bill, said the massacre occurred and so many people were killed. They have young girl accounts, which were first-hand witness accounts, saying that her uncle was shot down, her father was shot down, her family members were shot down. And the only thing that gives any credence to this is a Dallas Independent School District administrator put up a plaque of this Erica known as Slocum. Students of Texas in their Texas history class have no idea that this massacre occurred, why it happened, and why they do not learn about it in Texas history. If you read a newspaper clip that came out, it said Eastern Texas Race War and Hot Bloody Battle. It said the confrontation battle lasted 18 hours, but it said nothing about the displaced victims, the hardship that occurred, the psychological trauma, and how they had to leave their hometown in search for freedom, even though nothing they did was wrong. It's a tragedy. This is one of the most horrific acts of American history, repeated, washed, and rinsed over and over again. The massacre of Slocum, it needs to be taught everywhere. It is a tragedy about how people were gunned down that were American citizens without any love, compassion, ideology. It's your boy, King Crowder. Hopefully you learned something, y'all. This is a tragic event that we must talk about, that we must educate, that we must lead our people on. If you are in the state of Texas and you want to learn about Texas history, this is a phenomenal subject to start from. Texas history is mostly boring, and you ask the students. But starting at this place, what happened in Slocum is so eye-opening. And today, all they have a plaque to show what they did and what happened. This tragedy happened, and no one knows about it. It's your boy, checking out. Peace.